Hey everybody, welcome back to OldBeardedGaming. Today, we're playing Dawncraft. Mm, 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 mm. Nah, just kidding, nobody's doing that. I mean, we are playing Dawncraft, we're just not doing the techno thing. As you saw there, the world was trying to tell us to stay safe. Well, we're not going to be doing that for sure. We're going to do this up hardcore like we do, so let's get right into it. This series is going to be a 100-day style series. If we die, we have to start all over. Them's the rules for hardcore, of course. I am completely new to Dawncraft, by the way. I saw the announcement a month ago or so on Reddit for its initial release and decided to give it a whirl. It's being billed as a functionally different modded Minecraft experience with pretty heavy RPG elements centered around a toggleable combat system that's basically designed to be played in the over-the-shoulder view. We'll see if my Vertigo will like that or not. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Don't get old. It sucks. I am really hoping that my comprehensive RLCraft experience will carry over to some skill set here in this game. And just like that, we spawn in, and of course, are in a less than favorable position. Are we sure we're not playing RLCraft? Because it kind of feels like RLCraft right off the bat. And of course, I don't do myself any favors jumping into a hole that requires me to break something with a tool that I don't have. We're off to a fantastic start. Well, let's get into it. We got this little guy here that wants to tell us something. Let's see here. Finally awake. Okay, doing the Skyrim thing. Using big words I don't understand. You're brought here to kill the Ender Dragon. That's kind of the whole point of Minecraft. Can't get to the end unless you get some eyes. Okay. Lots of words. We're not strong enough. I kind of take personal offense to that. Oh, we're pushing the wiki. That's cool. Alright. And poof, like that, he's gone. He's given us a little glowy orb thing. I'm sure that'll be important later. Now, unlike other mod packs, I'm not modifying this one with any sort of minimap. We're going to use the built-in Antique Atlas system. I am familiar with this from RLCraft. I have chosen not to use it before in the past, but we're going to give it a whirl this time and see if we can do this straight up legit. The game starts us off with a map to the nearest village and a compass, so not all is lost, but first thing I want to do is try out this combat system. Couple of meadow maggots over here. Let's get all punchy. It's a little weird, I'm not going to lie. This is going to take a lot more getting used to. But for now, I think we'll just keep it in first person. Now, one of the really cool mods that's installed in this mod pack is HT's Tree Chop. Basically, you can beat the bottom of these trees, the base gets smaller and smaller, and then it's eventually going to explode like a loot pinata and drop the entire tree's worth of wood. It's a really nice quality of life update and change. Taking a quick look at our surroundings, some potential loot, and a little structure generated over here. It seems to be occupied, though, with a dude that inflicted bleed. Check that out. Alright, this is pretty hardcore if I do say so myself. Well, no time like the present to get ourselves kitted out. Make a little bit of gear, and bust our way into this dude's house. And, of course, start looting it completely dry. I know it's only day one, but it kind of feels like this loot's pretty favorable. I mean, nothing overwhelming, and I'm not overtly thrilled about having to put on the furry mask, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. It seems the early game also likes to really reward you with a lot of advancements, simply for opening chests and taking things out of them. Well, let's see how this fancy little boomerang does. Oh yeah, got him. But it didn't come back, so, well, that seems like par for the course. Well, let's see if this bow does any better. Despite its graphic taking up, like, half of my screen, it's going to be difficult for aiming things. Well, that didn't really fare out too well, just didn't have the angle. Well, let's clear away some of this and see if we can get a better shot at things. Oh, look at that, more achievements for just moving stuff. We give up on the subtle approach and decide to go full gung-ho in the new combat style. What I like is the stun lock capability of this combat style. You definitely do a lot more damage when you're engaged in that combat mode versus being out of it. The downside is you can't break or manipulate any blocks on the fly. So that's still going to take a lot of getting used to. But overall, it's relatively favorable. As night was setting in, I figured we're pretty much done with this place. We'd climb back up top and go ahead and set sail on our first day in Dawncraft. Okay. Day 0 in Dawncraft is done. It's now day 1. I know it's complicated. And by the way, that is the only mod that we've added additional to the pack, just something to help us keep track of things. More furries about, it's time to nope on out of here. Now it is the early game, so resource gathering is always a positive thing. It is slightly refreshing to know that some big elemental monster isn't going to jump out at me for pillaging resources. I like the change from RLCraft. The world generation is something to marvel at as well. It's pretty cool looking. That said, I realize that I can't read a map. I've been going in the complete opposite direction, and we need to correct that. It's actually really not that complicated to navigate in this game. The compass always points in the direction that you're looking at and tells you in the bottom left corner. The atlas is always oriented to north, same with all of the maps. You'd figure I'd have a better grasp of this by now. So we'd start working our way towards the village on the map. As you can see in the top left corner, we were getting pretty close. Now, here's something that you don't see in every other mod pack. Look at that village generation. Look at those structures. And it's spanning the entire cliffside? This is absolutely incredible. I'm in for a treat. So we'd make our way down and go ahead and introduce ourselves to the locals. Looks like they've got a registration guest book here. Let's just go ahead and take a peek. And look at that. Villagers will treat me as a neutral entity. Alright. They obviously don't know who I am. But we did find the guildmaster, and he welcomes us on our very first quest. Apparently I've got to interact with him again. He's just going to stop. Alright. And more slights. Fantastic. We're not ready. Go kill 10 pillagers, and I'll give you some skill. Love how everybody's all like, oh no, you're not strong enough. Well, all that nonsense is going to have to wait. It's starting to get dark, and we need a place to set up shop. I go ahead and pick a little cave overhang area here with a shrine just right next to the guild house. I figure this will work for the time being. Let's go ahead and sleep it off. Get ready for day 2. I had a feeling Home Slice was holding out on us, so I went back with a blank piece of paper in my inventory, and sure enough, he gave me a map to where the local pillagers hang out. I wonder what other secrets this village is hiding from me. I made a decision that we were going to stay here on a more permanent basis, so we spent part of the day just clearing out our little enclave and getting it ready for a base. It was then about this time that the music dropped hard, so we just had to relax and listen a little bit. Ah, yeah. No, it's definitely a sign. This is totally where we're going to make our base, so we go ahead and mark it on our atlas. Just go ahead and make things official. Starting to like this atlas, by the way. Not sure why I shied away from it in the first place. Not gonna lie, I miss the convenience of having the mini-map in the top right, but this is more than adequate for being able to get around. As near as I can tell, it actually responds quite well to custom structures. It knew that there was a village here and started drawing one as such. Pretty cool in my opinion. Nighttime again, that means sleep. We'd wake on the morning of day 3 and go exploring the village a little bit. We'd pillage just all of the furry outfits, take everything that they had. So long as you do it without the villagers paying attention to you or seeing you, you can get away with quite a lot of larceny without any ill effect to your reputation. And the goodies just keep coming. Can't pass up a full set of iron. We'll go ahead and take that. Thank you very much. That just means I now have a lot of leather to go ahead and recycle. Pretty easy to do. Make yourself a simple cutting board, a pair of shears. Place your leather items on the cutting board, use the shears, you get leather back. I love recycling. It's good for the planet. With all this leather, it's time to make a really important item in this mod pack, a backpack. Backpacks are fantastic. They give you a lot of space. They fit in the curio slot on your back, so it doesn't take up a chest slot. That's fantastic, by the way. And it can be easily upgraded, which we go ahead and do. We had just enough iron sitting around, and check that out. Just a crap ton of space to be able to store all our goodies. That's going to help with the adventuring. Pretty full day. Time to sleep it off. Get ready for day 4. Alright, time to go see if we can't find these pillagers we're supposed to slaughter. We'd start following the map, heading a little westish out of town. Wouldn't take long before we'd find what we were looking for. Really an interesting structure. This is an entire dock city, apparently, with a pillager ship in the bay. The entire town itself is void of all NPCs. I don't know if that's supposed to be by design or not, but there are dozens, literally dozens, of these little huts and structures, each with a chest, food, and all sorts of other resources for the taking. Since we're just getting started, we absolutely would take some time and go through just about this entirety of the city, gathering all the resources that we could hold. Just loot after loot after loot. We'd even get an achievement for opening so many chests. That's kind of interesting. Saw these cold boys, figured I'd give them a little helping hand. Yep, that's an achievement. Boy, they're just coming in spades now. Spent so much time here doing all the looting, it got dark again. That means sleeping it off and getting ready to welcome Day 5. Day 5 would be a little bit more of the same. We'd spend some time going around just taking everything we could possibly find, and then as luck would have it, some of the gear we were starting to get was not exactly enchanted, but had a higher rarity quality. That's pretty cool. They have all sorts of neat affixes and suffixes. It seems like that's going to be a whole other system to get into. I'd go ahead and test one of my tried and true RLCraft strategies for taking out mobs, and that's at a distance, with something sharp and pointy that flies through the air. It would seem to work just perfectly fine. I could shoot them, they couldn't quite shoot me. It's a win-win. Heaven forbid if the AI ever gets so advanced that they learn to overshoot and aim higher to be able to get their bolts to come this far. We'd clear off the deck and go ahead and make our way over to the ship. Really a neat structure all the way around. I'm so far completely impressed with the diversity of the different structures and the different POIs that we're coming across. We'd play a little peekaboo here. One thing of note, I did try using archery both in and out of the new combat mode. It didn't seem to really make any bit of a difference, so I stayed out of it just so I'd be able to manipulate blocks on the fly if need be. Now I know we had killed a champion from distance, so I didn't really get a close look. This guy seems to have some unique properties. He's hasty. We thought we'd go ahead and sneak up, see if we can go ahead and get a poke on my man here. And we got slashed for our troubles. Well, that's a nope for me. We're going to back up, heal up, and rethink this. It is hardcore after all. No point in risking life and limb. Let's do this from the relative ease of safety. And I'm pretty sure he can't get out of that gap. While the counter was going up on our quest, sadly, the ones that are labeled Vindicators did not count towards our Pillager count, which was a little bit unfortunate, but I enjoyed the killing all the same. And by killing, I mean literally shooting fish in a barrel. Don't judge, it's hardcore. You do what you need to. Starting to get dark here on the end of Day 5. There's still more goodies to be had down below deck, but that's going to have to wait until another time. Not exactly keen to be caught after dark in a mod pack that I don't know what's capable of spawning. We'd sleep it off and greet Day 6 with murder in our hearts. The systematic eradication of these pirates would continue unabated. You gotta love it. And it wouldn't be long before we'd be able to get ourselves down below deck and finish off the last couple. We got a very close call here. Super glad that we do more damage in that other combat mode, but man is it risky. I think I just need better gear. But that would wait for later. Spoils of war. Apparently they were rigging the ship to blow up as near as I can tell. Day 7 now, and we continue to loot the rest of the resources found here in this dock city. There are a couple of these structures scattered about, full of iron ore and coal deposits. No point leaving it all here, it does nobody else any good. I'm taking it all with me. Also putting to use one of the neat tools that we found in one of the chests. It seems to mine out in a 3x2 area. That's kind of cool. Man, does time fly when you're gathering resources. Day 8, best get back at it. I was still a couple pillagers shy, so we decided to go ahead and follow the map and realized we hadn't actually come to where the destination wanted us to. We found this interesting structure leading its way underground. It had a little achievement for getting close to it. It seemed kind of ominous. We decided to give it a miss. We'll save that for another time. I did find the rest of the pillagers that we needed. They were over here on a boat, I guess attacking these other villagers in a boat city? Not quite sure what's going on here. Maybe some Moana thing, but at any rate, they die easy enough. Let's see here. This should make 8, 9, and the last guy here is 10. Quest complete. Fantastic. Getting dark again. Sleep it off. Get ready for Day 9. I know all this sleeping wastes playable time, so let me know if I'm being irrational in my fears here by sleeping through the nights as frequently as I am. At any rate, we had a few more guys on top deck here to finish off. The AI is a little interesting in this game. They tend to notice you from quite a bit further away than standard vanilla, but at the same time, they don't seem to pathfind around obstacles that you place in their way very well. For example, I built a very small wall that you just simply needed to walk around to be able to get to me, and they couldn't do it. Oh well, I'm not complaining. We've now survived 10 days in hardcore in a mod pack I've never seen before. We're not doing too shabby. I think it's time to get home and turn that quest in. Along the way, found this interesting little structure. As it turns out, this is familiar. That looks like a dungeon. Pretty sure it's a dungeon. Well, that's what we're going to mark it in the atlas. We're going to come back and scope this thing out later. If they're anything like the dungeons in RLCraft, I'm pretty confident we can cheese it, but my inventory and backpack is incredibly full. It's time to turn this thing in. This guy doesn't mind if I bust out his window. He's hard to talk to with stuff in the way on the countertop. And just like that, he threw a skill book at us. It bounced back inside, but we picked it up. See what else he's got for us. We're ready for another quest. No rest for the wicked, I guess. Check it out. I give you a map. Time to kill the Goblin King. Alright, I'm down for that. We'd go on to then spend the next several days kind of fleshing out our base. We were pretty heavy with loot, and I was going to need more place to keep my stuff. I like stuff, I know you do too, and I like it to stay safe. Time for expansion. Day 12, 13, 14, and actually even 15, we'd spend all the time playing Inventory Manager. This is, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, the game within the game. I need access to a very easy, simple storage system with sorting in the early game. You know, some mod packs have stuff like that you can put together in the later game, but I don't know, makes more sense to have it earlier on. On day 14, or at least the evening of day 14, this guy decided to pop by and say hi. Look at that, he's got me pinned with some sort of proboscis thing? I don't know what's going on here, I didn't like it. We pushed him into the water and decided to sleep it off. This is why we don't stay up at night, folks. I also realized that I'm not a huge fan of the melee, I'm more of a fan of the ranged attacks and cheesing my way through everything. That means I'm going to need arrows, and I have a plan. Arrows are pretty simple to make. It only takes 3 things, 2 of which are pretty readily available. Sticks, literally those things are everywhere. Pretty much the same stuff with flint. You find gravel everywhere, just takes a little bit of time to shovel it over and over again. The real holdup is feathers. Feathers only come from chickens. Chickens, well, they're a little sporadic to say the least. I had plans and designs for an automated chicken feather farm, more or less. The design is simple. We'd fill the back end up full of a whole bunch of chickens, and then when they get spit out by the observer, you occasionally will get baby chickens. Now, they'll be below the height of where we're going to have some lava come out and basically burn everything that's in the box that's taller than a baby chicken. So by the time they grow up, the lava kills them, it gets collected by the collection system, and, you know, it's a win-win for everybody. The quest to get that piece of lava, as you saw there, guarded by some zombie with full kitted out gear. It's one of the interesting things about this mod pack is a lot of mobs spawn with armor, making them completely resistant to the effects of the sun. But lava in hand, the contraption's ready. Now we just need to get some chickens in the box. I had 10 eggs that I had collected so far, and wouldn't you know it, not a single damn chicken from one of them. Look at that, 0 for 10. That's horrible luck. Well, that means we're going to need to go exploring and find some more chickens. So we'd spend a couple days going on a side quest adventure of our own making. I'd end up in apparently some sort of a swampy biome? I don't know. There are a lot of alligators there. I didn't like it. We found this nice open area with a whole bunch of cows. Figured this was a good chance to practice our melee skills. I'm still just not completely sold on it. Just like, woo, I did a little somersault move there and I'm somewhat invulnerable when I do that. So that's kind of cool, but I don't know, this play, angle, and view, just because I'm not used to it, really just kind of gets me all sorts of dizzy. I don't know, maybe some more practice later. Day 19, we did come across this village. Well, that's kind of cool. There's more people out here, and some of them have some quests. That's kind of neat. This guy, what, he wants some food? Alright, I'll cook for you. What do you want? Pasta with mutton chop? That sounds complicated. I don't think I can do that yet. Ah, now this is a sight for sore eyes. Waystones. I love these things. I wonder, though, if these waystones are exactly the same as they are in RLCraft, or can I actually take these ones with me? Well, only one way to find out. Let's see if we can break it. Oh, look at that. It takes some damage. Alright, this bad boy's coming with me. I had no particular interest in coming back to this town anyways, and I want one of these for my base. We'd wake up on the morning of day 20 and just take one final look around, and then I saw this little structure just kind of outside of the city, with a farmer inside. He had a quest for me. He wanted a couple onions. Well, I had a couple onions on my belt, which was the style at the time. So I easily handed over 2 onions. It wasn't going to hurt me in any way, shape, or form, and I figured I'd get some reward for my gratitude. Look at that, he's even holding emeralds. Would he give it to me? No, he's like, no, hold up. I need some melon seeds as well. Alright, well, let's head on back home, because I couldn't find any melons. And in the process of heading home, we'd end up on the backside of our home village, which is on the higher part of that cliff structure. And sure enough, look at that, we had our own waystone. And a really dark cave structure full of bad things that want to hurt me. Well, that's not anything new. Oh my god, that guy's fast. Okay, run. When in doubt or in trouble, pillar up. Honestly, 3 blocks high seems to be enough to get away from just about any of your problems. These guys aren't particularly fast moving, at least not yet. I have noticed that some mobs like to kind of change the way they come at you, the more damage they take, so that's always interesting. But from up here in relative safety, I think we're good to go. Unless they have ranged attacks, like that guy. Then we're less good to go. Alright, well, he's just got a sliver of health. Let's finish this on the ground. Here's what happens when you don't go in the alternate combat method. It takes several swipes and swings. I gotta get better at toggling that on and off. Dropping back down towards our base, I found this little farm with this guy. I think I'm gonna call him Jorge. Jorge is gonna be my new best friend in the entire world. There's a lovely little system built into this mod pack where you can summon your horse from anywhere in the world so long as there's enough space to do so, and he will traverse all distances. Super great feature, just need to get a saddle. Good to be home. Day 22. What were we doing? Well, for starters, we're going to place this waystone down. That way we've got a point to branch out from our own base. I was on the hunt for more chickens. More chickens I would find and slaughter. Sadly, they weren't really dropping very many eggs, and I didn't have the patience to just stand around and wait for them to pop them out. On the side note, got reacclimated to riding horses again, and Jorge took me far and wide in search of more and more chickens. One of the interesting combat side notes of this other system is that it doesn't respond very well to varying heights. Like 1 block sometimes will work and it will move you up or down to the level you need to be. Other times, not so much. We'd go back to that barn and set another waypoint so we can go back and forth between that guy. Believe it or not, he has more requests of us. A little bit more on that later. For now, I wanted to find a better way to explore my environment. One of the things that I noticed in the mod pack is that there's a paraglider. In case you guys haven't figured it out, the creator of this mod pack really loves Legend of Zelda. That's evident by the little Breath of the Wild stamina ring that you see on the screen now, and of course, the paraglider, which functions pretty much identical to the same system in Breath of the Wild. It drains your stamina, and when that's all gone, you're going to fall. Or if you switch off of the item. There's enough messing around, and I'd have another idea for how to get some chickens in here. The old-fashioned way. We just lure them in, and then push them into their servitude hole? I don't know, call it what you want, but we're going to need a lot more chickens. So we'd bring them back just one at a time, and stuff them in the hole. Start breeding them up, as you do, and in no time flat, we'd have a lot of chickens. It was near the end of day 28, and I think the system was pretty ready to start working. And look at that, our very first baby chicken. It starts spitting out more eggs that are produced by the adults, and if we're lucky, it hatches more and more chickens. Look at that, lots of little baby chickens. Now there is a little bit of a design flaw in all of this, in that when you have so many baby chickens there waiting to grow up to be killed, to turn into feathers and cook chicken for you, they start stacking on each other, and you start killing some of the baby chickens because they're high enough to be killed by the lava. Oh well, we need to let that kind of run. Time to explore. And I found this very interesting mushroom biome. Not the typical mushroom biome from vanilla. This one had quite a lot of hostile things, and some very unusual wood. I'm a big fan of collecting rare and unusual things, so we took it with us. A little bit more exploring on this island, and we'd find our very first puzzle dungeon. This is interesting, to say the least. I don't know what to expect from puzzle dungeons, other than that I've heard they can vary in terms of what type they are. Some ask you questions, some have musical things, maybe there's even some with combat. I don't know. This one was a puzzle one, though. So this puzzle, some pigs can jump, some pigs are fighters, thus slimes can jump, and some fighter can jump. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I don't think it's supposed to. Regardless, you're tasked with answering, well, is part of it true, the first half, the last half, or is none of it true? Does it contradict itself? Honestly, the logic just doesn't work for me on this one, and that's what we ultimately went with. Just doesn't follow. And, sure enough, the path opens. We were right. On to the next question. This one, more of a math sort of question. There's some answers to choose from, so we take a look at those first. And basically, we're being asked to solve the equation. If A, then B. If not A, then C. If not C, then not B. And your situation is not B. Well, not B is technically not A, so it has to be C. That's what the puzzle says. So, let's go down to C. Take a peek. Always nerve-wracking hitting these, and you never know what's down below, but we got the right answer. I'm not going to lie, this very next one, super difficult for me. If A and B, then C. If C or D, then E. If not B, then not E. Situation A. I broke down. I asked ChatGPT. It came up with B. It said B was the right answer. We went with it, and it worked. Hooray for AI. I have no idea what this one is asking. That was right, left, left. This one's right, right, left. And this one's right, up, left, maybe? I don't know. That one looks kind of inverted and wrong. Didn't seem like that was going to be the right one. In the end, we just picked the middle one because it was really kind of a 50-50 at this point. Let's do it. See what happens. Oh no! Oh wait, maybe this is okay. I think this is okay. Yeah, this is the puzzle reward. We click on this and boom, we get goodies. Ooh, couple more of those spirit orbs. I'll take those. We need 4 of them and then we can earn ourselves an extra heart container. Now once you solve the puzzle dungeon, the magic protecting all the blocks in the entire dungeon goes away. So we took the opportunity to thieve quite a lot of create blocks, which we can potentially use later as we gain some more knowledge to do so. Everything in this mod pack is gated behind knowledge. We're back on the exploring and we found ourselves actually staying awake through an entire night. I figured I was on a ship, we were probably okay, and finding a way to nicely cheese a whole bunch of these mobs. Good old tried and true RLCraft tactics still work. Create a little pit for people to fall into. They're using the new combat system. They can't swing anything other than head level, which means you can swing at their feet from a greater distance away. Granted, it doesn't do as much damage, but it's definitely a lot safer. It would be enough side distractions, we would get back on the main point quest, and that was finding the Goblin King. Pretty confident that that's his castle right there. But there's a lot of other things going on around here. There's a little tower off to the side there, giant tree, there's a sentinel knight somewhere hanging about. There's also a giant pillager bastion, fortress, not sure what that's called, and a battle tower in the distance. That's like 5, 6 structures all right here and within a chunk or so. We'd waste no time getting familiar with the locals. We'd do some odd jobs for them, little quests. Most of them are just fetch or give me type of quests. They want random items, some things I had, other things I just had to write down for later because there's a lot of different variables that they could ask for, and I just didn't have it all on me. This town was actually pretty good size, and with all these points of interest around, I decided, you know what, it's probably a good idea to just go ahead and set a waypoint here. Sadly, this town's waypoint was destroyed because of some of the custom generation, particularly and specifically the one with the pillager outpost. It absolutely filled in the entirety of the inside of the little area of where that ought to have been. If I was going to make a raid on any of all of this, I was going to need more loot storage. So we'd update the backpack, make it to gold level, and check that out. Lots and lots of space. I love it. It was coming up on the morning of day 37, and once again I would find myself getting stuck in a rabbit hole. I found the quest tracking interface. Kinda, sorta. You see, it doesn't actually track the quests that the villagers give you, and certainly doesn't track the main story quests. What it does do is gives you a lot of information about this mod pack and the various mods within it. And it's all gated behind these little tasks. Some of them are just as simple as clicking the check mark that you've done it, that you've read it, and you get little mini rewards, usually 1 or 2 pieces of experience. In my pursuit of this, I found out about magic. That's right, we can go to Hogwarts, we can become a wizard. And it's actually pretty simple. A book, couple iron tools, boom, there you go. You've got a spell book.
Now the mod pack that handles all of this is incredibly comprehensive. In fact, there's a massive, massive in-depth system. I spent a lot of time reading through all of this just to kind of get my head around it, because I had not actually played with this particular magic pack before in the past. The long and the short of it is, you have this crafting table of sorts where you can create glyphs, and glyphs are basically new enhancements or pieces of spell components. And once you've unlocked them by handing in certain items, you can then use the glyph, and that's available for you to then create new spells with. There are no predefined spells, you have to create them yourself in your spellbook. We'll get more into that later, I'm sure, but for now, I wanted to get after this Goblin King. It was already day 42, and we'd go ahead and breach the inner sanctum of the castle. Not quite sure what to expect, so standard tactics apply. Let's set up some barriers, make things as safe as possible, and just see what happens. Now, very interestingly enough, some of these goblins are small enough they can go through less than a block high. That's on par with spiders, and no sir, I don't like it. Here you can see some of the flaws in the inherent system with the new combat. If you're more than a block high, it's not going to move you towards the people to be able to hit them. So you're going to have to do a little finagling yourself and change your elevations. And here we see just baiting things over to get close enough to get just a regular swing on. It's a toss-up. I keep going back and forth between the new system and the old. I'm not sure which one I prefer. We tunnel our way into the, I guess, throne room of the king? I'm not sure. I never really peeked my head all the way inside. I just knew he was in this room. And, yeah, we're going to cheese him. Basically, a couple arrows. We'd lure him up onto this little platform that we had created. And we'd go ahead and set things in the way so he couldn't get to us. With only a half slab of room between, I'm pretty confident nothing's coming between that. And you guys get the picture. Cute title, End of the Labyrinth, I love it. And then this massive crystal structure thing shows up. Apparently, you can use these to keep respawning the bosses? I don't know, we're going to leave it there for now, I guess. Had to fight our way out of the castle en route to be able to turn in this main quest. Alright, my man in blue, hook me up. What do we get? What's the big reward? I've got the crown. Pat on the back, and go kill something bigger. Really? Now this is the perfect time to show off this interesting feature in that other quest system I was talking about, the Lost and Found. If for any reason, and I think it's going to happen, the game is moderately kind of glitchy when it comes to villagers. You can come to this area and replace any of the maps for quests as part of the main storyline and otherwise that maybe you're missing. If you lost it or it didn't generate, you can get a replacement one here. This does not solve the problem, though, of maps not having the X marker on them. Sadly, that just means you're in for a lot of hide-and-go-seek. Returning home with the spoils of our adventure, we'd go ahead and do a little bit more inventory manager. I'm telling you, this is the minigame you all love to see. And in the process of doing so, I realized we now have 4 of those spirit orbs. Well, part of the reason we set our base up here is because there is a goddess statue here. And I'm wasting no time, we're getting ourselves another heart container. Yay, one of our hearts turned orange, that's cool. I don't know how many of those we can actually have, but we're going to keep getting those until it tells us we can't get any more. As I continue with the adventures, I'm basically just talking to any NPC that has a mark above its head. I don't know if I get anything for completing all these quests. I have gotten a couple trade contracts by completing some of the mini quests. I haven't been able to actually successfully trade with any villagers yet, so we'll just have to kind of keep plugging away at that. I'm not quite sure if I'm doing something wrong or if I have to have the contract on me. I have signed the contract. I know you need to do that, and you do that by taking the unsigned one, placing it on a lectern, and then you sign it. We'd go back, though, and start making some progress towards this pillager bastion. We're taking it just kind of slow, methodical, really, just so that we don't unexpectedly run into a death trap that we can't get ourselves out of. I feel like we've made pretty good progress so far, even though we've only done, like, what, 1 of the main story quest line. But at this point, if we were to die, I would be seriously, seriously bummed in having to start over. Big Vindicator with an axe, run away, place some blocks up, handle it with ease. I think you guys are starting to see the pattern here. With that pretty much cleared out, we go poke our head in this battle tower. Lots of stuff going on in there. And as I went for another way around, I discovered these guys. they're NPC companions, I guess. They basically just want food, and if you've got the food to feed them, they become yours, and they'll help you out in combat so long as they stay within the area. The guy with the crossbow, well, he wants some cod and sweet berries. I didn't quite have enough sweet berries, but I did have a lot of bone, and that's a problem that can fix itself quite easily. We grow some more sweet berries, we harvest some more sweet berries. Simple solutions to simple problems. I hope this guy's worth it, though. With all the food in hand, we go back and see if he was still there. His other buddy was there, but I didn't want a wooden axe guy. I wanted the guy with the enchanted crossbow. Yeah, this guy. Fed him all the fish, and then all the berries, and now you get a lovely little interface where you can actually change their gear out and see what their stats are, what their health is. You can put food in there, and they can heal themselves. That's pretty cool. Additionally, you can have them patrol and guard an area or follow you, etc. We just spent some time here kind of killing in our killing hole, grinding out some experience. Still can't really do much with the experience, but all the teleporting back and forth, it's starting to eat away at some high-level experience. I need a solution to be able to dump some of this XP so that I'm not spending the high levels and can start spending just lower amounts. There is a system inherently built into the backpacks, but it takes some more advanced items to be able to craft, and I just don't have them yet, to be able to store liquid experience points in your backpack. We're going to be working towards that, but sadly, it's not going to happen in this first 100 days. But it's not that big of a deal. For the time being, I am completely satisfied with just hunting the XP that we need, but it's probably time we start heading on with the main quest line again. One thing that's been bugging me for a little bit is my lack of ability to use what I consider to be some pretty basic tools. Things like the enchanting table. For that, we're going to need to do some more quests, and that means we're traveling. I would get a little sidetracked with a quest from one of the guards that wanted me to rescue some child, so we've got a map here. We've been kind of following it around, and it led us to this area. I mean, it didn't lead us to this area specifically, we just happened to go through this area on our way there. I figure, hey, there's some pillagers over here, they got some villagers chained up, let's go see if we can handle this new combat style, and then the dude spawns with an enchanted heavy crossbow. We're out. I still don't trust myself enough with this new combat system, so, you know what? Bow and arrow works just fine for me. This is my life. This is how we're going to handle things. Don't judge. So we'd make good at killing these guys off, get down there, loot the place a little bit, break some spawners. We would do a little bit of hand-to-hand combat just when I knew I had enough space around me to not make it risky. And unfortunately, in the process of doing all of this, something really kind of interesting happened that I was not prepared for. It seems that some of these guys can spawn as raid leaders, and I didn't really pay attention to it. I saw this guy with the backpack on, and there was an enchanted book on the ground, and I got all excited. And I was like, oh, well, this is pretty cool. Let's get this looted. Well, it's not actually sitting on the ground. It's in an item frame. Well, that's weird. And then these guys spawn behind me. I'm like, okay, well, I need to handle these before they kill the villagers. Voluntary exile? Ah, crap. I don't have any milk. I'm sure this isn't a problem. Hey, would you look at that? Sprawling village. I like it. Let's get down there. Oh, wait. I have the exile status. That means raid. I've heard raids can be difficult, to say the least, progressively so, in this mod pack. I was not prepared or ready to start this bad boy off, and I feel kind of bad that all these guys are rushing in towards the village. They actually don't seem to really care too much about me. Once again, the game's saying, hey, you're not strong enough, you're not worthy of consideration, we don't see you as a threat. They would live to regret that. Well, they wouldn't live, but they did regret it. I saw it in their faces. What is that? It's kind of a creeper. Oh, alright, well, I guess there's a mod pack that modifies creepers. Yay. I'd end up not completing the raid. I kind of left it for something else to do, but I did mark the village on the atlas. I figured we need to keep moving on with our main story quest, otherwise we're never going to get this thing wrapped up. In my adventures and travels just outside of the city, came across this mountainous area, and there was this little exposed spawner with a chest underneath it. It just kind of kept spawning these guys pretty quickly in a pretty high light level area. That's kind of interesting. Regardless, good experience, some okay drops, but you know what? I don't have time for all of this. So we'd get these guys handled, break the spawner, and see if this was actually even worth our trouble. As it turns out, loot's actually pretty darn good. There's diamond in here, there's emeralds, there's enchanted books. The cool thing is, these things are all over the place. They're just dotted in the mountainous landscape. So if you find yourself surrounded by mountains, just take a moment, zoom in, see if you can't see some of these, because this is really good loot. Not gonna lie. I could probably spend a lot of time farming these things, but we've got places to go and people to save. It's the morning of day 55, and boy, the days are flying as we travel. It's my own fault. I keep getting sidetracked with things like this. Very, very interesting little hobbit hole, I guess? I'm not sure. Let's go see what's inside and if anybody's home. Well, there's a librarian in here for sure. And look at that. His name is literally Bilbo Baggins. Alright, so this is a hobbit hole. I'm okay with that. Some not bad stuff in here. There's an entire block of emeralds up there in an item frame. That's pretty cool. And some really good stuff behind a trap door just above the fireplace. Worth taking time to loot if you come across that structure. We'd finally make headway on the map. It starts turning green as we're getting closer to the city to find this lost child for this guard. I'm super far away from the city that I got it from. And would you believe it? It had me going to the damn city that I was already in where we killed the Goblin King. I apparently, when I went through this pillager bastion, forgot about one of the corners of this tower from the outside. And that would be where the little villager child was, behind this Ravager. A lot of lessons being learned here, a lot of time being wasted because we weren't being overtly thorough, and I kept bouncing from one thing to the other because there's so many shiny things in this mod pack, and it's like, ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's that? I've got to start focusing a little bit better, and I probably need to start taking a little bit better notes. My notepads, if you could actually see it, yes, I keep pen and paper and notepads as I play. I'm old school. It's just scribbles and scribbles and scribbles of notes. I don't even know what half of these notes are, and I'm too old, I've already forgotten, so my loss. Cool fun fact about this mod pack, there is a hotkey for making things follow you. I wonder what else it applies to besides quest NPCs. We'll have to test that out. I do have a clearly legible note written down to test this later on. For now, we're bringing this guy into town, and look at that, quest completed. Didn't even have to go back to the town that we got the quest from. I'll take it. So here's an interesting NPC interaction. This fisherman. I end up paying him 18 emeralds so that I can learn how to use a fishing rod. I figure, well, it's a little expensive, but emeralds come pretty quick and easy now because I can kill pillagers fairly quickly. In the process of doing this, the little knowledge bar starts going up right above the top of the screen, and then there's this firework that goes off announcing that I've gained level 2 in fishing. Okay, cool. So that lets me use a fishing rod now. Didn't know that needed to be gated behind anything, but whatever. So now I talk to this other fisherman out on the street, and my knowledge bar just automatically starts going up. Boom, fireworks, and now we've gained level 3 in fishing. I don't know what that does for me, but it didn't stop there. Came across another fisherman. They didn't really say anything new, but look at that. Knowledge is going up to level 4, you guessed it. There's fireworks involved. Boom. Fishing level 4. Again, doesn't seem to unlock anything. I just thought it was really kind of weird that different fisher NPCs that I hadn't interacted with gave me more experience. Whatever. It's time to get geared up and go on the hunt for this corrupted ogre. It's the morning of day 61. No time for breakfast. We've got arrows to make. This is proving to be the most effective way to be able to handle stuff in this mod pack. Can never have too many arrows. We actually did end up making a quiver. It's just kind of handy for carrying stuff, and it also can be worn in conjunction with wearing a backpack. That's a win. As we head out on our next quest, we get a little sidetracked. You guessed it, it's a dungeon. I figured, I've got time to handle this. Let's go see what this is all about. Now, fortunately for me, these dungeons are incredibly familiar. These look exactly like the same types of dungeons you would find in RLCraft, and the same tactics work. The hallways are relatively narrow, about 3 blocks wide. You can set up a little station similar to what you're seeing on the screen. A number of different ways to do it, either with slabs or trapdoors, and it gives you easy access to take things out either at ranged or with melee. The loot throughout the dungeon was interesting, but not overwhelmingly, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, I've never seen this before type of thing. Now that's not to say there can't be fantastic loot. I'm sure there is some RNG involved in all of that. But I had originally held off in the earlier part of this playthrough getting into one of these dungeons when it may have been more beneficial to just go right ahead because it's simply too easy to cheese, and we might have ended up with some gear that would have helped us out a little faster. Now, interesting little mechanic here, that chest was gated behind a little mini-boss inside of this dungeon, this Corvin the Rotten. And he definitely was rotten. You get too close and hit at him, and he's going to inflict you with Wither, and that kind of sucks. So, do what we always do. Just shoot him from distance. Easy peasy, nice and easy. The chest he was guarding? It had some stuff in it, but again, nothing just, oh my gosh, this is so crazy I can't live without it, but we'll take it nonetheless. We'll definitely be running through these things as we find them in the future, but I think we've spent enough time getting sidetracked for now. We'd spend a couple days going back to the base, playing Inventory Manager, because, you guessed it, we completely filled up our backpack on that trip. And now it's back out into the open wilds to try to find this corrupted ogre. We found ourselves surrounded by mountainsides again, and you guessed it, those little loot boxes are still all over the place. I'd end up making my way back to the town that we had accidentally started that raid on. Whoops. And continue through to really kind of something neat to see. All sorts of crystalline structures around. We marked it on the map to come back later if we need those resources. Signposts are pretty cool. I like these things. They point the direction of a village and how many blocks away about approximately that they are. Very cool feature to see. Didn't know it was in the mod pack. Always a welcome sight. The little fungus dudes, not so much. Now I know I've been pushing the pace a little bit here, but it never hurts to kind of slow your roll a little bit and check over the loot that you're picking up. We crafted a boat to head out on our way, and I realized I had a crossbow I hadn't really paid attention to in my inventory. Piercing, quick charge, and power? That's fantastic. We're going to make that our primary weapon from now on. Now, one thing I've noticed about these main story maps is they are quite a few blocks away from each other, going in completely different directions. We have spent days traveling to try to get some green going on the map. And in this case, after exploring the entirety of the map because we didn't have a red X, I finally found what they were talking about, a little dirt hovel mound with a corrupted ogre inside. Now I have no idea what this guy is capable of. I suspect because he is a main story boss, he can do something interesting. But I wasn't going to give him that sort of opportunity. We would poke a little hole in his hovel, shoot at him from distance. He never laid a finger on us. Crisis averted, quest solved. That was 5 days of my life I'm not getting back. Break our way inside. We've got the respawner crystal. He dropped some goodies. It looks like an essence as well as the corrupted eye. Time to take this back and go get rewarded for our efforts. Now, it was at this point I was hoping that we were going to unlock something kind of cool and something kind of useful. So I was really excited to go back and find our... Wait, where'd he go? Seriously? So the dude that was in the guild shack right next to our base is now MIA. We'd have to go back to a different town and talk to a different guild master. I got worried for a second. Nothing was happening. It was just lag, and then all the things happened kind of at once. We got our immediately next quest to go fight the night robber. No rest for the wicked yet again. Although there were fireworks. Yay! Cooking and blast furnace is unlocked. Fantastic. Things that help me not in any way, shape, or form. Alright, day 77. We better get after this night robber. Throughout all the explorations, always keep a keen eye out for things that can be useful, like these waystones that just appear random out in the middle of nothing. I like leaving the ones in towns if I can, just for point of reference and ease of teleporting about, but the ones out in the wild, those are fair game. Came across this guy and, oh my god, that's ew, it's gross. It's gross, I don't like it, kill it. I don't have any fire, but kill it with fire if you can, if not, just keep swinging. Infested mobs. That's lovely. Well, morning of day 78, and we'd wake up alongside a battle tower. Now, again, I had passed these over once before, very similar to dungeons, so this time I thought we'd take a poke and see what's going on. Well, inside they look fundamentally different from the ones inside of RLCraft, and that's cool by me. I like a change. What I did seem to notice was that the spawners for these guys are a different color. They're red,
And I found one on the opposite corner, so we just burrowed over and broke it. But it sure didn't stop the mobs from spawning. I suspect there's some more hidden inside there, but they appear to be never-ending. Sorry, wandering trader, you're on your own. I tried to get clever and burrow up from the bottom side of the first floor of this tower, but I just could not come across any more spawners, so we noped out of there. Day 80 now, and we were traveling quite far away from our home base. Came across one of these ruined portals and grabbed the loot. Again, nothing overwhelming, just always good to see. Stopped along on our journey and grabbed some dripstone. Always nice to have with cauldrons and setting up fancy thingamabobs. I don't know, I never really got into any of all of that, but it sure beats having to go underground and trying to find it. Oh, an airship. Alright. I'm going to be super disappointed if there's nobody named Sid up in that thing. Well, there's no shortage of distractions to be had in this game, that's for sure. You guessed it, we climbed on up to explore and see what's going on. To be honest, it's a very cool, neat-looking structure. It's moderately annoying, though. Everything seems to be built on the half slab, and the angles and the way things are laid out just are very, very weird. Don't get me wrong. Nice little distraction, completely manageable. I did find that if we were at head level but a half slab up above, they actually could still hit us, so that's important to know. But you can toggle between your combat form attack and back away before they can initiate their attack. Works out pretty good. Ultimately, nothing of interesting loot-wise in there, so it's time to move along. Well, back out on the open sea on day 83, little sea shanty plane. Came across another one of those ominous structures. We're still going to give that one a miss. I don't like messing with anything underwater without respiration and all the good enchants. Well, that's disconcerting. This, on the other hand, this is a positive. I love these pirate ships. Time to get our loot on. In doing a couple of these ships now, there are a couple different configurations to be had for them. Some of them have a long, narrow, kind of straightaway sort of style to them. Others are on the angle like this one here. They all have pretty much the same type of loot. They're rigged to blow, couple enchanted items. Always seems to be worth a stop for me. Back on dry land, and I hit a button. I think I hit the letter K, and this thing popped up. No idea what it is, but numbers go brrrr. Found a dude in a little cave thingy right as we are on the edge of the map for our next target. Couldn't just let him sit there. Had to take advantage. Okay, now this is sad, and please let me know in the comments if I'm doing something wrong here. We came across this guy. He's pretty cool looking. I stopped to talk to him instead of just killing first, and look at that. He had a story and a quest for us saying, hey, I'm going to turn into a werewolf. You got a golden apple. You can hook me up, help me out. Of course, I always travel with a couple in my pack if I can afford to, and I had a couple to be able to spare. So we pop one out, go ahead and give it to him, and then that's when things take a turn for the worse. All seems fine and well, and then he does this. Very cool animation, by the way. Love the little touches and details about this. But yeah, I don't know if there's some other way to save him, and maybe I just messed up because we just stumbled across this and I don't know anything about the backstory, but we had to handle the situation in the only way I know how, and that's pew 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 from way up high. Sorry, dude. And in terms of what he dropped, just a lycanite potion? Not lycanite, lanthanthrop. I've got RLCraft on the brain. And what's really weird is it's a fast healing potion. I don't know. This mod pack's got some interesting stuff, that's for sure. Including this giant castle structure. Well, we gotta go take a look at that. Oh wait, it's a literal pillager castle. We don't have time for this. It's day 86, and these are not the droids we are looking for. We'd finally get on range of the map, and again, after exploring the near entirety of the map, because once again, no red X, I've come to believe that if you don't have an X on your map, it's because it would be so far towards the northern or potentially one of the other side borders of that map, it can't be displayed. So if there's no X, go around the borders. I'm pretty confident that'll work. We'd go ahead and float our way over to this arena for the Robber Knight and take advantage of all these resources sitting around after marking it up on the map. Never pass up free glowstone. I don't know what it can be used for in this mod pack, but I'm sure something useful.
I've come to realize that maybe that's why I'm dragging a little bit in terms of time-wise and maybe not progressing as fast as I would at least like to, because I'm always getting distracted by resources and shiny things to go and get. I don't know, it's just my nature. Yeah, look at that, our first look at the dude. He's down below in there, and apparently impervious to ranged attacks from distance. I spent an entire day going around the perimeter of this thing, trying to take pot shots at him, burrowing down just a little bit into the walls to get at him, and as you can see here, it just has no effect. There's definitely some sort of configuration or enchantment around this guy that makes these efforts for nothing. We were going to have to get in there and get dirty. As it would turn out, this guy has some very interesting responses to ranged attacks. He teleports. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. And he always seems to teleport just a little bit behind you and off to the side, which can play into our advantage because I don't think it's working as intended. After playing around with this for a little bit, I came to find out that we can really cheese this guy in a very likely unintended manner. You see, if you shoot him when he's close to the wall, he'll actually teleport behind you into the wall. And he'll start taking a little bit of suffocation damage too, so you can let that tick, although it will not kill him outright. You then have to come and burrow him out a little bit. You can still take some pot shots at him, but he can hit back once he's exposed and use some of his special abilities. But once we had him into the walls, all we had to do was continue to keep shooting at him, and he would continue to keep teleporting into more section of the walls. If you break out too many of them while you're attacking him, just go ahead and plug them back up. We'd end up taking a little damage from his last attack there, but crisis averted, and that's another main boss down. In all honesty, this guy was probably okay to take just straight up, using the same tactic that we were doing with the crossbow, because it does a lot of damage, and just kind of kite him around down in the lower part of his arena, dodging his attacks and special abilities. We'd set a waystone so we can come back and farm this later if we want. And before heading out, I noticed that all the windows around the outside were lit by artificial means. Blocks of raw gold. Each one of those is 9 gold ingots. We're taking all this. And with everything sufficiently looted, it was of course time to come back and play Inventory Manager. We did do a bit of an upgrade to the backpack. We didn't get to diamond level yet, but we did install a liquid tank. This eventually can be upgraded with the right pump and an additional upgrade to be able to store experience points as a liquid form in our backpack. It's going to save us from wasting a lot of levels every time we teleport back and forth for 1, 2, or 3 levels while we're holding 40. And trying to be cheap, I decided to try to check out one of the other guild houses in this little kind of hodgepodge village of ours. Turns out, this guild master had turned. Well, that wasn't going to really work out very well for me, and I didn't think I could probably turn him back, because I don't have any splash potions of weakness. So we bit the bullet and teleported, only to find that the turn-in was a little glitchy. Oh well, it's all coming apart at the seams now. We got done with the night robber, and immediately are given another quest. This time we gotta go find some farmhouse and kill some child, I guess. Okay, cool, sounds like fun. Let's go! Already day 93, and per usual, this one would prove to be pretty far away in a completely different direction than we've gone before. That doesn't mean we still don't have time to loot one of these little ships. This one had a chest that was being guarded by some sort of an elite mob. No big deal, he was under the boat. We found a solution. Crisis averted. Again, the loot, nothing super profound, but we'll take it all nonetheless. Wake up on day 94. Make sure we start the day right with some breakfast. Fried chicken. Keep coming across interesting things in my travels. This wandering trader, for example, he had just an absolute unit of a pickaxe for us if we had 64 emeralds. I was just a couple shy, having gotten into the habit of traveling with a whole bunch of them now. Fortunately, there was another one of these pillager castles nearby, a different one, mind you, and it had emeralds inside, and the guys dropped some. We'd make our way back outside, and realize there's all sorts of nastiness around. Best to sleep it off. Morning of day 95, and we'd try to get down to business, but then realize, well, we waited too long to sleep. Other things had spawned in the evening, and they didn't despawn. They're certainly not impacted by the sunlight. Time to handle the situation. No big deal. Pillar up. Pew pew. Crisis averted. That seems to be kind of the solution for like 95% of all the problems I've been coming across. And I'm okay with that. Not sure why these guys were glowing, though. Kind of interesting. They didn't seem to be any different. Oh well, doesn't matter. Got a pretty badass pickaxe now. We're good to go. Back on the move again, and something caught my eye way up into the clouds. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I know I want to get up there and poke it with a stick. Day 96, we'd add this village to the list of all things possible to teleport back to again. And start devising a plan to be able to get up in the air and see what all that nonsense is up above. No point in overcomplicating, we pillared straight on up to go take a peek at what this thing was. I figured we would be relatively safe, given that I hadn't really seen any mobs up in the air. Aside from that one airship, I thought we'd be alright. Lo and behold, to my surprise, when whoosh, we get pushed right off this thing. Little quick thinking to switch over to the paraglider saved us from an untimely end. Oh, that sucks. No, we're going to do it again, exactly the same way, but this time make sure that we mine upward so we can reclaim our blocks, because I didn't want to spend time gathering more. It's already day 96, and I've already wasted too much time on this thing. This had really better be worth it. This time we'd get into a little bit better protected position, and I'd notice that there are some mobs floating about. Not sure what all that is. We'd open up this chest, and before we could really loot all of it, we got blown right off this thing again. Yeah, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's alright. We'll save all of that for some other time. Right now, this hyena had other plans. We'd slap that naughty boy into oblivion and head on back out. It's already day 97. No more distractions. We need to go get after this boss. Oh, look at that. A distraction. Fantastic. Well, it's another puzzle dungeon. This one completely different than the previous one. Lots of open space, little ominous about the creeper face in the stained glass. But off to one side, we had a little mini parkour thing, nothing too complicated, pretty simple. Not gonna lie, we didn't first time it. You're just seeing the edit where we did. In all honesty, it only took about 3 attempts to be able to get across this thing. I always get a little messed up when I start thinking about these side jumps. I don't know why. They're really pretty straightforward, and I do them all the time out in the wild. But when you actually have to do it, you just get stuck in your head, I think. But nothing was going to stop me from pushing that button over there. Oh, it's a musical puzzle. I'm not going to lie. We downloaded an app to be able to analyze the pitch and tone of the notes that we were hearing, played it back, isolated each one of these sounds to be able to recreate the answer to this puzzle. You gotta do what you gotta do. It dropped a nice little red key. That's convenient because the door over here had a red lock. Open it up and take our prize. Once again, a couple of spirit orbs. That seems to be the desired prize for all of these things. Not sure. Oh my gosh, it's day 99. We need to hurry. But there's always time for breakfast. More fried chicken. The breakfast of champions. We'd find another town not too far away. These things are popping up all over the place now. And I'd start to realize I'm not sure why I was in such a hurry. I mean, 100 days is 100 days, and whether we accomplish something or not, it can always be done the next 100 days. But I really had it in my mind that I wanted to progress far enough in the main story to at least unlock enchanting. And I'm really hopeful that after we defeat this final boss, well, not final boss, but this next boss, that we'd be able to do that. Sadly, we couldn't quite make it to where we needed to be. That leaves one more day, day 100. Are you tired? Please believe, always. So many neat little shiny distractions keep popping up, like this lodestone, for example. No idea what this is or why it's there. I suspect it can be used for some sort of building apparatus, maybe teleport related, I don't know. There was a silverfish involved, but there was a pretty loaded chest down here. Not gonna lie, I need to keep an eye out for those things because I'd like to come across some more of these. Again, the loot, nothing super life-changing or profound, but there could be some good stuff in there. Finally into the mid-afternoon on day 100, and the map starts turning green. Well, this map did have an X on it, and sure enough, this is the farm that we were looking for. And, yeah, there's a boy in here. Check that out. Alright, well, let's get to killing. 9 tails? Seriously? I've got to kill Naruto? Well, whatever. We know how to handle this. Wait a minute. Seriously? He's got some sort of jutsu that blocks arrows? Son of a... Oh, yeah, and of course he's got ninja skills. Look at him flailing all around and roundhouse kicking, and then he's got the Ninetales aura coming out of him. Well, this isn't going to end well. We try to keep him confined to this area, but I had another problem that had crept up on me, and I didn't really pay enough attention to notice it. I was able to do damage and not get hurt in return, but it's now nighttime, and that means other mobs are going to start getting involved in this nonsense. Here he goes unloading with all of these Ninetale auras, and these other boys want to get in on the party. Now, at least with these zombies, I can absolutely handle them in a more conventional manner. No worries whatsoever. This guy has magnetism. That sucks, by the way, when you're up on a pillar. I'd finally get a little overwhelmed with the number of mobs and just run to a nearby shack to sleep it off. Guess what, everybody? We're going day 101. Bonus days! Yeah, I know, it's just my lack of skill to be able to handle... Oh my gosh, he's on the outside! Run, run, run! Why is he outside? Why is he healed? I didn't like this one bit. It actually was relatively fortuitous because I found a easier way to cheese this guy, leave him on the outside, and just poke at him through the windows, where I can sometimes move off to the side and dodge his Ninetales chakra, aura, whatever it is. It's not the fastest way to handle it, but it works. Sure enough, though, it's starting to get darker outside because we're really taking our time with this, trying not to get obliterated by what I can only imagine to be potentially a one-hit kill combination. What's really interesting is these other mobs do not like the Ninetales, so that champion absolutely took a poke at my boy over here, and they were having it out. It was about this time that it crossed my mind, oh crap. Do I get credit if something else kills it aside from me? Boy, I really hope so. Well, we better clear out the rest of all these bums and go take a peek. Interesting side note, apparently these respawning crystals, they can actually be damaged and they can be kind of moved. You'll see here in just a moment, we take a swing at it and it moves it back a little bit. I wonder if that means that we can push it into like a boat or a minecart and actually bring them to an area of our choosing. That'd be kind of cool for a farm. Well, while I was thinking those thoughts, I decided we better just get out here and get this thing wrapped up. I was not keen on cheating our 100 days with any more unnecessary time. And look at that, we got the other eye. I don't know why it's called Where's Atlantis? I don't know, there's probably something to do there with it. Well, doesn't matter. We've got another boss down, and it's been just over 100 days. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with Old Bearded Gaming. We will have another 100 days coming your way just as soon as possible. Until then, take care of yourself. We'll see you guys again next time. Bye-bye.